Edinburgh Castle dominates the skyline of Scotland's capital and most ancient city. Edinburgh, 400 miles north of London, is also one of the most beautiful and most visited cities in Europe. The castle has seen sieges, enemy invasion, power struggles, imprisonment, and murder. Many lives have been lost fighting for this great symbol of Scottish pride. Edinburgh's rich history, its amazing location, and the sheer variety of things to see and do make it number 8 in Britain's top 10 castles and palaces. The honors of Scotland, the Scottish crown jewels, are kept in a strong room at Edinburgh Castle. The 500-year-old crown, sword, and scepter were used at the coronations of the kings and queens of Scotland. They have survived war, invasion, and capture by the English, and now lie safe at the heart of the castle. The story of their dramatic history is portrayed in an exhibition. 400 years ago, the crown jewels were damaged and were repaired and refashioned by Scottish craftsmen. But in the middle of this magical history tour, there is an unsolved mystery. Why do these 16th century craftsmen look just like John Lennon and Paul McCartney? Nobody knows. Perhaps the mischievous mannequin makers were having some fun. For 150 years, visitors to the castle have been startled by the firing of the 1 o'clock gun. The gun told sailors at sea and the people of Edinburgh the correct time, in the days when few people could afford their own watches. Edinburgh Castle is one of the most imposing castles in the world. It's also one of the most secure. You can still see the dungeons used over the years to incarcerate thousands of prisoners. But one prisoner was too important to be held in the dungeons. Alexander, Duke of Albany. 600 years ago, he was arrested by his brother, the king, for plotting against him.
As part of the nobility, in fact, being brother of the monarch, he'd been confined in the royal apartments here in Edinburgh Castle, in relative comfort, much similar to the room we're standing in here today.
The Duke was able to buy luxuries for himself. One day, he ordered 2 barrels of the best French wine. But one of the barrels contained a warning from his friends that his life was now in danger. They had even planned his escape. The Duke invited his guards to share his wine.
And then once they were drunk, they attacked him, killed them, threw them in the huge oak fireplace where they fried in their metal breastplates. And as they were quietly cooking away, the smell of roasting beef throughout the castle, he got the rope out and threw it over the side to lower it down the castle wall.
The Duke of Albany sent his page ahead, down the rope. A good move. The rope was too short. It went limp, and the Duke heard a cry. He pulled it up, attached a bedsheet to it. Then he climbed down himself. At the bottom of the walls of Edinburgh Castle, the Duke found his page with a broken leg. He put him over his shoulder and carried him to freedom. Next, we're going nearly 600 miles away, down to the southern tip of England, St. Michael's Mount, an island in the county of Cornwall. The Mount has the loveliest setting of any castle and is cloaked in Celtic myth and legend. For its beauty and its unrivaled location, St. Michael's Mount is number 7 in our list of Britain's top 10 castles and palaces. St. Michael's Mount is the legendary home of Jack the Giant Killer, who killed the giant who terrorized the people of the mainland.
A very brave local Cornish boy rowed his boat out to the mount one evening and the whole night through dug a deep pit. When the morning sun rose, Jack went to the far side of the pit and blew his horn as loud as he could. The giant was awakened and rushed down the hill, but with the morning sun in his eyes, he could not see the pit into which he fell, and the giant was killed.
Today on St. Michael's Mount, you can still see the pit into which the legendary giant fell. And nearby lies a stone that they say was once the heart of the giant. St. Michael's Mount is joined to the Cornish mainland by a causeway. At high tide, it's cut off from the village of Marazion. Over the years, Marazion has often tempted the owners of the mount to cross over for a meal or a drink, or two. But to get back to the mount, you need to watch the tide. Unwary visitors today face the same hazard. One of the mount's early owners tried to beat the rushing incoming tide as he headed for home. He was too late and drowned with his horse under him. A vision of St. Michael was once seen here, making the mount a place of pilgrimage. Visitors today can walk up the ancient pilgrim steps to the monastery at the top of the hill. Years ago, monks who broke the strict monastic rules were punished severely. Beneath the chapel lies a dungeon. Monks were imprisoned here so that the prayers they heard above them would encourage them to change their sinful ways. Coming up next, Braveheart. But what was he really like?